Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by eBodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards.
Hey everybody, Jay Reale back at you again for another episode of The Real Deal Show, and the person sitting next to me is the infamous and famous, in South Africa anyway, and it's soon to be to you. This is Pam Bowren. Welcome, Pam.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me.
How you doing today?
Yeah, pretty good.
Good?
Good.
I saw you get a really good wave. We just got out of the water here in the Maldives after the 2023 Visit Maldives Pro, and Pam got a good opening wave, and I told her, you should just go in after that wave. It's not going to get any better than that. Did you ever get another better wave?
No, I didn't. I should have listened to you.
So,
30 seconds in, I should have paddled back out to the land.
oh man. Okay, so let's get into this. I want to find out more about Pam Bowren. So, you first came on my radar last year during the Walker Bay Pro. You made the final against Isabella.
Yeah.
And I had never, pardon me, I don't follow deep into the South African bodyboarding scene, but I had never heard of you. So let's dive back into your history with bodyboarding in South Africa. First of all, tell us the city that you live in South Africa.
Yeah, well, no worries about that, Jay. So I live in Capetown, South Africa,
Okay.
in the southern suburbs, about a 20-25 minute drive to the closest beach, but
Yep.
I've got a few options to choose from. And I actually grew up in Port Elizabeth, near J Bay.
Yeah.
So that's where I started my bodyboarding. I rode for EP and then went to university in the Western Cape and then rode for Western Province. I actually made the South African team 3 years for the World Games.
Wow. What years was that?
The first year was when I was still part of the surfing, still part of
Yeah.
ISA, and we went to somewhere in Portugal. I think that was about 2008.
Okay.
And then I did, when it was bodyboarding only, I went to Venezuela and, I can't remember the third place. It'll come to me, sorry.
That's a good problem to have. You travel
But-
so much and just it all blends together. So you've been at this for a long time.
Yeah, and I've
When-
been riding the local circuit, but the last couple of years I've sort of given competition riding a bit of a backseat and just been free surfing.
Wow.
I've been lucky enough to take part in the Tunt Invitational
Yep.
3 times
Probably
actually.
the only female in that event? Or
Yeah,
there-
the only
Wow.
female. I think Isabella's the only other female to ride that wave, if I'm staying corrected.
Wow.
It's
so,
quite naughty.
Have you done some SA Champs events and become SA Champ?
Yes.
How many times? You probably forgot that
I've
too
forgotten
many.
that,
It's
to
been
be
too many.
honest. It's 3 or 4 times SA Champs. But like I said, I've taken a bit of a break over the last probably 5-6 years
Were
of
you
no
just-
contest riding.
Were you just burnt out on competing? Was that it?
Yeah, and just I had other things to do. Work got in the way, and just the traveling and the national circuit in South Africa. I would love to see an improvement in it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not as big as a lot of the other national circuits around the world.
Yes.
I know the European circuit is massive, but unfortunately, it's something that's a work in progress in South Africa, and there's not many competitive female riders. There's sort of been eras, Kamala Botha, Debbie Patterson, that sort of era, the Donalds sisters,
Yeah.
not sisters, the Donalds,
Olivia.
and the Olivia.
The Olivias, they were known as.
Yeah.
This is going back to the 90s.
Yeah, so there was that era, and then kind of took a bit of a gap, and then there were a few of us when I started competing, Lyndall Pels, Robin Sorensen, she's now Neri. So it's taken a bit of a dive, but hopefully
Yeah.
on the up.
Well,
Trying to do lots there. And
Yeah, I think you're going to be an inspiration, hopefully, to
Thank
some
you.
of these young female riders coming up in the South African scene. And, so clearly she has been a thing in South Africa for quite some time. So it's great to see you on the international stage. But before we dive into that part of it, I want to go back. Let's talk about how you got into bodyboarding. How'd that happen?
We've always had a holiday house on the beachfront, and my uncle, he's a paddle skier,
Okay.
a goat boater, whatever you want to call him.
In Australia and
And
South Africa, apparently.
I just love the ocean, and so he would take me out to the back line and push me on waves, and then I just watch other people doing it really, and just like, oh, that looks like something I want to do.
Yeah.
Started following the magazines, and just I kind of self-taught myself and just watched the guys in the water and took it from there and just loved it.
How old were you when you started, do you think?
I was about 12, 13 years old.
And were you doing other sport at the time?
I play hockey.
Oh, okay,
field hockey.
yeah.
Do a bit of swimming and tennis, but yeah, hockey and bodyboarding are my two main sports.
My wife was a hardcore field hockey player
Okay.
too, so she loves that sport. But yeah, it keeps you fit.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
does. It does indeed.
And you can get some of your aggressions out
Yeah.
on the pitch. With the hockey stick.
100%.
Check it out, folks. If you haven't watched field hockey, and I know in Southern California where I live, nobody knows what it is, but
Yeah.
where I grew up on the East Coast of the U.S., it's a huge sport. And it's both a men's and women's sport in the international field.
Yeah.
But geez, we've gotten way off the rails here. This is a bodyboarding podcast. So Pam, you got into it 12, 13 years old, and did you start competing right off the bat?
Probably when I was about 14,
Okay.
14, 15. I did 1 or 2 local contests. Excuse me. And started doing SA Champs then. And rode for Eastern Province, my province at that time. Competed till I was about 3 years out of school, and then sort of took the break. So
Okay.
probably 6, 7 years of competition back in South Africa.
Wow, hardcore.
Yeah.
What's your? Let me ask you this. You said you live in Capetown inland from the beach. You have several beaches to choose from. What's your favorite beach to go to in your local area?
I love Sandy Bay.
Okay.
It's near Llandudno.
Freezing cold water there
Yes.
at certain times of the year, by
You
the way.
definitely need a 4.3 or
Yeah.
thicker wetsuit. It's more of a summer wave though, so in winter, also Lands or Llandudno, I enjoy those two.
These
And
are
they're
all
probably
beach
also the
breaks, sand
closest
bottom?
to me, yeah.
Okay.
Beach breaks.
Got
But
it.
going a bit further from Cape Town, Cape St. Francis is there's Seals Point, but also the beachy is good fun.
Had
Yeah.
that place good
Yeah.
before too. Now, did you ride those places when you were in Port Elizabeth? In other words, how old were you when you moved from Port Elizabeth to Cape Town?
I only moved to Cape Town when I started studying.
Okay.
I studied at Stellenbosch University,
What'd you study?
sports science. Yeah.
Makes
So,
sense.
studied sports science, and Stellenbosch is about a 45-minute drive from any beach. So I
Okay.
surfed on and off then, and then I've been living in Cape Town. Sort of after that, I also lived in Grahamstown for a few years, so surfed Port Alfred a bit,
Okay.
and back to Cape Town. I've been there for about 8 years now.
And you think you're going to stay there? Do you love it?
Yeah, I
Obviously,
love
you've been
Cape
there 8
Town.
years. You must like it.
Yeah.
So, when you studied sports science, when you finished school, did you get a job in that field?
To be honest, no.
Yeah, that's a common theme.
I got a job in the hockey offices in Stellenbosch, managing the hockey part of the sports.
Yes.
And then I got involved in schools, and that's where I've been pretty much ever since. I moved to Grahamstown to work at a school as the director of sport.
Oh yeah.
And then I took a bit of a gap year, 5 years later, then came back to Cape Town, as I mentioned, and I did some events, I was involved in production and events,
Yep.
and then back into the schools, which is where I'm currently am,
Excuse me.
also as a sport coordinator.
Wow.
So-
Okay. Well, so you are kind of in the
Yeah.
field of study that you did in school. Your situation, do you live by yourself? Do you have roommates?
No, I live with my partner,
Okay.
so yeah, we live together, and been there for 7 years now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this. The IBC comes to town, Walker Bay Pro.
Yes.
And Pam, of course, being the kind of the top female competitor. It sounds like you're obviously one of the best in South Africa. You said, I'm doing this contest.
100%.
So, yeah, were you confident from the get-go, like, hey, this is my town, these guys are coming to my town, I feel good about my chances in this event? Did you feel good about it?
To be honest, I went in with no expectations.
Yeah.
I hadn't been, like I said, I hadn't been competing for a few years.
Yes.
I've always watched these girls or these women riding, and it was just such an honor to be able to enter a contest on an hour's drive away from where I live.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't always get this opportunity. So
Sure.
I was like, I'm going to go for it and just give it my best shot. And each heat, I was just like, wow, okay.
You were surprising
I did
yourself
it.
that
Next
you kept
heat.
making it through heats?
100%.
Wow.
And I just obviously found some strength and motivation from who knows where. And having the support from the beach was just awesome.
That's
and
huge.
just, yeah, took each heat as it came and was just super stoked to get to the final. And unfortunately, I killed some dreams along the way.
Dream crusher Pam.
But I suppose that's competition.
That's part of competition. And, you know, the cool thing is, you know, you had such success on home turf, and obviously getting runner-up spot to Isabella, who was crowned world champion in that event. Big deal. So was it that moment that you said, I'm going to give this tour a crack next year?
100%.
Yeah.
I realized like I could actually, I had a chance, and I could actually prove myself on the world circuit. And here we are today. So yeah, after Walker Bay Pro 2022, I was like, let's try it.
So let's think about this. There's been a few women's events on the tour this year. Have you done any of the other ones?
So I did the Wahine Pro in Brazil.
Yep.
It's not my cup of tea wave.
Small,
it's,
kind of junky.
I need a
beach
bit more power.
Yeah.
So I didn't do very well there. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to stay for Chile, although that is my kind of wave, just because of work and finances. So I've now done the Maldives Pro, which, as we know, I did pretty happy with this result. And then going to do Walker Bay and the Morocco. So that will be my 4 events for the year.
Making it happen.
Yeah.
And so how's your ranking right now?
I'm sitting on 14th after this.
Yeah.
So with a pretty poor performance, I think I came like tied 17th at Brazil.
Yeah.
And then 3rd here. So
right. So do you
see how
have
the
a
next
shot to move into the top 8?
I think it all depends on what happens in Walker Bay and Morocco.
And
but
who shows
definitely could have a shot.
Okay.
I think I jumped from, after Brazil and this event, I jumped from 31st to 14th.
That's a big vault. That's like doubling your position there. So let's hope you can double it again, get in the top 8.
Too.
And you've never been to Portugal, I assume.
I have. I did do Sintra
that's
in
right.
2014.
Oh, you did?
I just did the one. I did that and Antofagasta in my gap year.
Oh, right. And you said you did the ISA Games event,
Yes.
which was also okay. So you're no stranger to the Portuguese waves.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sintra is a little tricky. Can be very good or very bad. It's just the luck of the draw. So in terms of waves, you know, along those lines, is there a place in the world, this isn't talking about competition, is there a place in the world that you aspire to visit to go on a surf trip?
Yeah, I've luckily been able to travel quite a bit and experience a lot of different places. I would love to do Tahiti.
Yeah. Well, you do like the powerful waves.
Yeah, I don't need it big, but just I think there's so many options there for waves.
Yeah.
And then also Puerto Rico looks pretty cool and somewhere very different.
Yeah, that is interesting that you said that, but that is a bodyboarding hotbed. I mean, I don't want to give up any secrets to those of you in Puerto Rico right now, but man, epic waves down there. And, you know, a passionate bodyboarding scene as well. Have you ever been to the United States?
I have been to the United States.
Where did you go?
We actually used to live there when I was 15, 16 years old.
Were you like an exchange student?
No, my dad got transferred for work, but we lived up in Ohio, so nowhere near any ocean.
Oh.
But I did we traveled to California and I did surf Huntington Beach.
Wow.
So I can say I surfed.
Oh, man.
I surfed in America, but that's about all.
Yeah, that's a bad taste.
No, I know.
Of
Sorry.
Southern California. It is Surf City, USA, but it's, wave-wise, it's mediocre at best. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're well-traveled. That's pretty killer. Let me ask you, moving forward, do you have a plan to continue doing the tour beyond this year, or is it just going to be, let's see how it goes?
It's very much let's see how it goes.
Okay.
Work and school has been very generous to me this year and allowed me to take the leave to compete. But that's a whole nother discussion if it happens next year and what those steps are.
Okay.
Unfortunately, with the rand-dollar exchange, we have to still keep working. We can't I can't just travel unless there's some sponsors out there that are willing to stand up. But unfortunately, we've got to keep the income coming.
I hear you.
So we'll see how it goes.
Sponsors, you mentioned sponsors. Do you have any sponsors you want to plug?
Yeah, so handpicked bodyboards. Thank you so much for supporting me this year. And then also Lapaside Clothing. They do a lot of, it's all local South African produced, so it's awesome to have them backing me. And then Island Style have given me some nice accessories. So.
Island Style, they're still rocking in South Africa. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
We used to work with them in the U.S., but I don't think they distribute there anymore. But in any case.
And then just some other, some people that have contributed to me this year. A very generous lady. She doesn't want to be mentioned, but she knows who she is. So thank you very much. And Backer Buddy, I had some friends, family. So thank you to everyone for helping me get here and live my dream.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is you know, most of the riders on this tour, and I think you'll agree with me here, they're self-financed.
Yeah, 100%.
Nowadays, it's like most of them have jobs. They have other sources of income. Granted, there are some who are full-time pro bodyboarders, but those are few and far between. And it's like a passion thing. You know, they have a passion for travel and bodyboarding and competing, and so they sink some of their own savings, their own funds, their own resources into traveling on the world tour. And it's life experiences that you gain from it.
100%.
Yeah. It's you know, it's sad in a way, but at the same time, to me, it's inspiring to see everybody like sinking their own vacation time and their own money into doing this tour.
To doing something they love. It's really just following your dreams and
I love that.
And experiencing the world.
Yeah. I know. I dig it. So one more question for you, Pam. Your favorite male and female bodyboarders?
So
That's always a
male.
tough one.
If I take it back a little bit, I love Spencer Skipper's style and grew up watching Jeff Hubbard.
Yes.
But currently I really enjoy Tristan's riding.
Okay.
Obviously local South African as well. And then on the female side, Isabella, she's just a whole category above everyone else.
She's on another plane, for sure.
But there are some really talented ladies riders on the tour at the moment. Neymara coming back, having competed for so many years, is just a true inspiration.
And bringing her daughter with her now, which is so cool.
Exactly.
Seeing Luna, rise to the top.
Exactly.
Now. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Any final thoughts?
No, just thanks to everyone. Thanks for having me, Jay. And let's on to the next contest and hopefully see a lot of you riders at Walkabout Pro. Look forward to showing you South Africa.
I agree. So I'm going to put Pam's Instagram in the comments below and in the description below, I should say. So folks, if you enjoyed this podcast, give it the thumbs up, throw some comments in on the YouTube channel. And if you listen to the audio portion, hope you enjoyed it during your workout or your drive or whatever the case may be. We're so stoked to have Pam Bowren on board for the podcast, for the Real Deal Show, and be looking out for her. She's coming up in the world. She's already up in the world, but now she's coming up another level, and we wish you the best of luck as the tour progresses.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Excellent. All right, guys. That's it from Reale. I love to do that. And as always, we'll see you in the surf.